Marina smiled as she watched her son trying on his new suit. Tall, handsome, and dark-haired. Tomorrow her boy would get married. It was hard to believe. Ilya carefully examined his reflection in the mirror and then nodded in satisfaction. The suit fit perfectly. "Nice suit," the young man said, turning to his mother. "The color is good, and it looks expensive." "It is expensive," Marina thought, but aloud she said, "I'm glad you like it. I'll definitely shed a tear when I see you in full dress at the wedding." At the wedding, Ilya finally tore himself away from the mirror. "Mom, are you planning to go to the wedding? We agreed that you wouldn't be there." "Agreed." "Son, I thought you were joking." "What jokes?" "Mom, have you forgotten what kind of parents Zechka has? The wedding will be full of elite guests. You'll feel like a poor relative. I'll start worrying about you." Ilya sat down next to Marina on the couch. He took her hand and squeezed it gently. "Mom, just imagine how out of place you'll look next to those fancy ladies. My heart will break from such humiliation. Zechka and I will come to see you the next day, okay? We'll have some tea or champagne. You can congratulate us and give us your gift." Marina's heart ached with resentment. Her own son was so ashamed of her that he was willing to appear as an orphan at his own wedding. "Why would I look out of place?" Marina objected. "I've made an appointment with a good stylist for my hair, and I'll get a manicure. I'll wear a nice dress." "What nice dress?" "That old blue thing." Ilya snapped, pacing around the room again. "Listen, I'll say it straight. I don't want to see you at the wedding. I know it makes me a jerk, but I'm ashamed that my mother is a cleaner. I don't want your shabby appearance to embarrass me in front of Zechka's family. Is that clear enough?" Marina, stunned by her son's confession, couldn't utter a word. Ilya silently grabbed his backpack and garment bag and headed for the door. At the threshold, he stopped. "I'm telling you again, don't come to the ceremony. No one will be happy to see you there." Ilya had left several hours ago, and dusk had fallen outside, but Marina still sat on the couch stunned. The shock was so great that she couldn't even cry. Tears came later when she turned on the light and took out an old album with family photos from the dresser. This album held her entire simple life. Memories flooded over her with such force that it was hard to breathe. An old, worn photograph. A blue-eyed 2-year-old girl looks intently into the camera. Her colorful dress is clearly second-hand. Next to her is a thin, strange-looking woman with a distant gaze and a slightly foolish smile. Even in the poor-quality photo, it's clear that the woman is tipsy. Marina was 2.5 years old when her mother lost custody, and she disappeared from her daughter's life forever. Growing up, Marina never tried to find her wayward mother. Why bother? A group photo. 10-year-old Marina with unruly golden curls stands in the second row, third from the left. Life in the orphanage was tough. The institution where Marina grew up was a copy of the troubled orphanages from documentaries made in the chaotic 1990s. Cooks stole food. Caretakers shouted obscenities, and the director encouraged hazing. She didn't care how the older kids maintained discipline. 3 pretty waitresses posed coquettishly for a photo on the porch of an establishment with a slightly crooked sign. After finishing school, Marina didn't worry too much about choosing a profession. She quickly found a job as a waitress in a roadside cafe called By the Road. The owner paid a small salary, but the main income for a waitress came from tips, and the cute, quick-footed Marina received generous tips from customers. 12-hour work shifts were exhausting. But the girl didn't complain. Independent life suited Marina. She was given a spacious, bright room in a communal apartment. Her neighbors, an elderly couple, were friendly. Though she didn't earn much, Marina always had some money. She also discovered a talent for dressing well on a tight budget. She bought clothes from second-hand stores and altered them, turning worn-out items into fashionable outfits. A summer meadow. Happy, laughing Marina sits on the green grass, wearing a large wreath of flowers and leaves. A handsome, dark-haired young man with a similar wreath embraces her. So many years had passed, but Marina's heart still fluttered at the sight of this photo. She had been working at the by-the-road cafe for about a year when she met Maxim. That summer morning, the cafe was unusually crowded. Marina rushed around with a tray, serving impatient customers. Suddenly, she tripped and spilled a glass of tomato juice on a young man sitting by the window. A bright red stain spread across his light-colored shirt. Marina was horrified. It was clear that the shirt was expensive. Before she could react, the cafe owner Stas rushed over to the young man and started shouting at the poor waitress, threatening to fire her. "There's no need to get so worked up," the young man said with a smile, handing Marina the keys to his car. "Don't worry. I'm on my way to my parents' dacha, and I have a clean shirt in the car. Could you bring me my backpack from the back seat?" "I'll get it myself, Maxim Nikolaevich." Stas snatched the keys from Marina. "This clumsy girl might break something in your car." Left alone with the customer, the frightened girl finally managed to apologize. "I'm so sorry. It's never happened to me before, I swear. I'll pay for the damage." "Calm down. There's no damage. It's nothing serious, really. By the way, what's your name?" "Marina. I'm Maxim," he said, extending his hand. Marina shyly shook his hand and finally dared to look him in the face. He was attractive, tall, and athletic, with gray, slightly mocking eyes and an easy smile. The owner brought the customer his backpack and offered to show him where he could freshen up. Passing by Marina, Stas sarcastically asked, "What are you standing there for?" "Your shift is over." She was collecting money from a couple in love when she heard a cheerful voice behind her. "Marina, could you spare a minute?" She turned around. Maxim, now in a fresh blue shirt, was sitting at the same table. "Would you take my order?" "Of course." Serving the handsome customer, Marina felt awkward. Her cheeks were flushed. Stas personally escorted the young man to the door and then winked at Marina. "Don't be offended. I yelled at you on purpose. I didn't want him to make you pay for the shirt. It's worth more than your salary." "How do you know this guy?" "That's Max Sokolov, the son of our mayor. Everyone in town knows him." By evening, Marina was so tired from the day's hustle and bustle that she had forgotten about the morning incident. She just wanted to get home and fall into bed. It was already dark outside, and who knew how long she would have to wait for the bus. Suddenly, a light foreign car pulled up to the cafe. Marina instinctively stepped back toward the porch, but then recognized the car. What was the mayor's son doing here? Maxim jumped out of the car, grabbed a large bouquet from the seat, and walked straight to Marina. Standing close to the astonished girl, he handed her the flowers. "Are you done with work?" "I'm sorry, I didn't know what kind of flowers you like, so I got you some classic white roses. I promise to find out your favorites and only give you those from now on." "From now on?" Marina was completely confused. Why? "Because I'm courting you." Maxim laughed. "By the way, it's such a beautiful evening. Would you like to go somewhere?" Marina had forgotten how badly she wanted to sleep. Everything that was happening seemed like a magical dream. She realized that she was ready to go anywhere with this young man, but she remembered her disheveled appearance just in time. Old jeans, a simple t-shirt, and her hair a mess. "Thank you, but I'm incredibly tired. I can't go out tonight," Marina said regretfully. "Then how about tomorrow?" Maxim insisted. "Then tomorrow," Marina echoed. The next day, they met and never parted again. It was love at first sight. Maxim, a student at the economics faculty, successfully passed his summer exams, and the couple began to see each other every day. In July, Maxim took Marina on a vacation. She didn't have a passport, so they spent 10 wonderful days in Sochi. Maxim introduced his beloved to his university friends. They often went to the beach and had barbecues in the countryside. It was the brightest, most carefree, and unforgettable summer of Marina's life. She had never experienced such boundless happiness before. The lovers even started talking about marriage, but in the fall, all their bright plans suddenly collapsed. One day, Maxim's cousin saw him on the street with a modestly dressed stranger. From that moment on, Marina's life turned into a nightmare. Maxim's parents were categorically against their son's relationship with some poor girl from an orphanage. Maxim's mother, aunt, and grandmother called Marina every day, showering her with insults and threats, demanding that she leave their boy alone. Maxim's cousin came to the cafe and caused a terrible scandal, throwing a milkshake in the waitress's face. Old ladies from the neighborhood bench reported that some people had been asking about Marina. "Yes, there was a woman here recently," confirmed Yakov Ivanovich, Marina's neighbor. "She offered us money to say that you're a drug addict, a prostitute, and an alcoholic. I kicked that hyena out." Marina didn't tell her fiancé anything, knowing that his study abroad program was being decided. Apparently Maxim was also under pressure because there was worry in his eyes. Sometimes he would stare intently at his beloved's face, but seeing her gentle smile, he would sigh in relief. A couple of weeks before Maxim's departure, Marina received a phone call at home. "This is Nikolay Borisovich," she heard a stern male voice on the line. "I am Maxim's father. You must break up with my son before he leaves. Say that you have another man. If you ignore my words, you will regret it." Without waiting for an answer, the mayor hung up. Marina was ready to give her life for Maxim. How could she refuse the one she loved so desperately? When her beloved flew to London, events began to unfold around the girl with cosmic speed, which she still remembers as a bad dream. Stas, bribed by the city mayor, suddenly accused the waitress of a large shortage and Marina was arrested. She was so shocked by her boss's treachery that she didn't even bother to find a good lawyer when the case quickly went to court. She was sure that the truth would soon come out and the terrible accusations would be dropped. The trial was a farce. The lawyer provided by the state seemed to be sleeping during the process. The prosecutor, on the other hand, was very active. Every day, Marina waited for Maxim to appear and save her, but a friend told her that, according to rumors, the young man was planning to continue his studies in England. Marina was sentenced to 3 years. It was already in prison that she found out she was pregnant. She forbade herself to remember the time spent in the women's prison. It was too painful. Overwhelmed with despair, she hurriedly turned the page of the family album. A dark-haired, gray-eyed baby. Marina gently stroked the photograph. What a sweet and smart little boy her son was. Only God knows what it cost her to raise the boy alone. Marina served 1.5 years of her sentence and was then released on parole. She was incredibly lucky that they didn't take her child away. Once free, a whole host of problems fell on her head. No one wanted to hire a young woman with a small child, especially one with a criminal record. Thankfully, neighbor Yakov Ivanovich helped her enroll little Ilyusha in daycare through his adult student. Now Marina could work tirelessly. She worked as a cleaner in a restaurant, cleaned offices in the evenings, worked at a car wash on weekends, and sewed pillowcases and sheets at night. Marina didn't look back at the past. Why dwell on unnecessary pain? While she was in prison, all her old ties were broken. Once she accidentally met an old friend who told her that the owner of the roadside cafe, Stas, had gone bankrupt and Mayor Sokolov had moved to Moscow with his family after being promoted. His son had married a beautiful Moscow girl a year ago. Marina cried all night and then wiped away her tears and went to mop the floors in the restaurant. She had a son to raise. From now on, that was her only concern and joy. Dawn was breaking outside. Had Marina really spent the whole night looking at the album? She lay down to sleep, but thoughts of her son kept her awake. She had always tried so hard to make him happy with expensive toys, delicious food, and fashionable clothes. She was willing to go to great lengths to fulfill all his wishes, within her means, of course. If Ilya needed a new gadget, he would calmly tell his mother, knowing that she would find the money somehow. In the worst case, she would take on another cleaning job. Of course, Marina was partly to blame for Ilya growing up to be such a heartless egoist. She never complained to him about her fatigue, never took a sick day, and always gave him the best pieces of food at meals. It's no wonder the young man never thought about how hard his mother worked for the money. And now her own son was ashamed of Marina and didn't want a poor cleaner to be present at his wedding ceremony. "I've come to this," Marina sighed bitterly, and then turned to Ilya's portrait hanging on the wall. "Son, I've indulged you for 25 years, but this time I'll do what I want. I hope you understand." The woman got out of bed and took a small box from the bedside table where she kept her savings the old-fashioned way. Plus, she had her monthly salary on her card. She had enough for a new outfit, a hairdo, and a visit to the beautician. Marina's appearance at the registry office caused a sensation. She always looked young for her age, and after visiting the beauty salon, she seemed to have shed a decade. Men stole glances at the slender, blonde woman in a luxurious blue dress. During the ceremony, Marina, wiping away tears, admired her serious and slightly bewildered son and his charming bride. She was glad she had come. After the ceremony, all the guests congratulated the newlyweds. Ilya stealthily made his way through the crowd to his mother and hissed, "So my request means nothing to you. I hope you're not planning to go to the restaurant." "I'm not going to the restaurant," Marina nodded. "I've already seen everything I wanted to see." "Hello." A radiantly happy Vika rushed over to them. "Marina Anatolievna, you look amazing. My parents invite you to join us at the restaurant." "Thank you. But I must be going." "What do you mean going?" Vike exclaimed. "Ilya, what's going on?" "Indeed, Mom, where are you rushing off to? It's your only son's wedding, after all," Ilya said with a forced smile, inviting his mother to the restaurant. When it was time for the parents to congratulate the newlyweds, Marina took the microphone. "Children, be happy. Be happy and love each other all your lives." There was so much sincere feeling in Marina's short speech that the guests gave her a standing ovation. As she stepped down from the small stage, she nearly collided with a tall man in an expensive suit. His face seemed familiar. "It couldn't be. It can't be," Maxim said aloud, blocking her path. "Marina, is that really you? What are you doing here, Maxim?" Marina couldn't believe her eyes. "The father of the bride is my business partner. He invited me to the wedding." "You have a very handsome son," Maxim said nervously, taking Marina's hand. "Maybe we could step aside and talk. Are you here alone, without your wife?" "I've been divorced for 10 years. No children. We talked for an hour." Maxim told her how his father, who had flown to see him abroad, said that Marina had met another man and moved to Moscow with him. Shocked, Maxim didn't believe his father. Afraid to humiliate his beloved with offensive suspicions, he decided to find out the truth from his best friend. The friend went to the roadside cafe but didn't find the girl there. The owner and waitresses confirmed the information given by his father. "I almost went crazy with grief. I stayed in England for another 6 months. When I returned, it was to Moscow, as my father had been promoted. Then I got married. Was I happy all these years? Not for a minute. Only in my youth. With you. But let's not dwell on the sad stuff. After all, it's a wedding. I'll tell you everything later, but for now, would you dance with me?" The guests couldn't take their eyes off the mature, beautiful couple dancing the waltz. Ilya looked at his mother and didn't recognize her. He suddenly realized that his mother, who had sacrificed her personal life for him, was a very attractive woman. For the first time in his life, Ilya felt truly ashamed of himself. Just then, he noticed his mother leaving the restaurant on the arm of some wealthy-looking man. Ilya caught up with her on the porch. "Mom, where are you going?" "I'm leaving." "Isn't that what you wanted?" His mother reminded him. "Mom, I'm sorry, But where are you going with this guy? I'm ready to go to the ends of the earth with this man, Marina said sincerely. By the way, meet your father. Maxim and Ilya stared at Marina in shock. After a moment of silence, she shook her head resolutely and smiled. I think the three of us have a very long and difficult conversation.